Hello everyone, welcome to the world of Blenderism. Nice to see you again. This is the second episode dedicated to the gaming chair. In this tutorial will be texture, painting our gaming chair. So in the previous tutorial we learned how to model it from scratch. So the link to this tutorial is gonna be in the description. So now we're gonna be learning how to unwrap it and texture paint it from scratch and how to create materials. Alright. First of all, let's move our references that we used before to a separate collection so that we can hide it. And now we need to connect the seat and back together, after which we need to apply the modifiers we used one by one, starting with the first one. This is the topology we get. So let's unwrapping chair components. We need to unwrap almost all the components that we got in our chair starting from chair backs. Go into edit mode and hold down the Alt button to select the edge loop along which the seam will pass. In order to make a sweep it is necessary that it has at least one seam. We will add another seam from the inside of the hole. After which we select all the faces and press unwrap. We get the following geometry. Let's arrange it exactly. And we remove it outside the square, since now new UVs will appear there. Let's move on to the seat. Moving on to the seat, I suggest choosing this edge loop. We mark it as a seam, select all the faces and make a UV for it. After which we again remove it from the square. This is so that they do not overlap one another. We select the side of the seat and carry out the same operation with it as before. Okay, we can move on, but now we need to make a UV for the pillow. We go into editing mode, we see that the loop is already selected for some reason, but it suits us, so we mark it as a seam. Select all the faces and make a UV map for it, go to the map of the maps and remove it from the square. Well, the last one left is a small pillow and do all the same things with it. Awesome, so now our chair is unwrapped. We have the front and back sides of our seat elements. Now our task is to arrange them all so that they fit into the square. Using the L button you can select each element separately and some need to be scaled and some need to be rotated 90 degrees. Anyone who played Tetris as a child should be able to do this without any problems. And those who didn't, then learn. The elements that are responsible for the pillow can be made a little smaller. Try rearranging the elements, twisting them, you should succeed. The main thing is that they do not intersect. At the end, you can select everything and reduce it to the size of a square. Okay, we're good. This stage is complete, you can move on. Now I suggest creating a leather material that we will use for the chair. It is quite simple but easy to use. I chose a pillow. On it we will perform manipulations with the shader. So we add a new material to the pillow and start adding nodes. First, add a color ramp and connect it to color. Change the white color to dark gray. Copy it and place it below, add a bump node to the next one and connect it to normal. Next we add a Voronoi texture, and change F1 to distance to edge. Now you can connect two color ramps. We got cool crystals, we need to lower the strength of the normals. Set scale to 40 and it looks better. Next we add a noise texture, hover the cursor over it and press Ctrl T, but for this you must have the add-on enabled in Wrangler and then mapping and texture coordinates are added faster. Next we add the color mix. We connect vector to A, the color of the noise texture B, the mix mode needs to be changed to linear light and we connect it to the Voronoi texture. Blender needs to be given some time to calculate the information. And now we have several settings that we will use to give the textures the look we need. The first is the factor, the second is the scale of the noise texture. Let's set it to 100 for a while. The third is that we can change the coordinates of the texture on the object. I like it better the way it looks. Next. For easy scale control, add a value node and connect it to the mapping scale. 1 is the normal state. You can also adjust the sliders on the color ramp a little and the strength of the normals. Set the white slider in the middle and make the black one gray by giving it the HEX code A2A2A2. Well, everything is fine, I like it. I'll set the scale to 2 for now and maybe I'll come back to this. Now you can move on to drawing on the textures, but for this you need to do some preparation. In order to draw on the textures, you need to actually create the textures. Delete the color ramp connected to the base color and change it to the image texture. Click on Create a new one and now we need to set its dimensions. I suggest simply multiplying it by 4, and don't forget to connect it to the mapping. We also need to check the location of the normal direction. At the top there is such a tab orientation of faces, we turn it on, and those that are red, this means that they are turned inside out. We go into the element editing mode, select it using the L button and press Alt-N and select flip to turn the normals. Great, we have corrected all the shortcomings. Now we can start drawing. We select the back and go into the texture paint mode. We select the color, and you are most likely wondering how you can paint the chair with a brush so as not to spoil anything. To do this, we need to stabilize the brush stroke here in this tab. And also, as you can see, our brush is not hard, we need to fix this. We change the force to 10. The pressing force icon should be turned off, this is for the touch screen. So we use the mouse. Now our drawing is clear, but we need to make it so that it is reflected symmetrically along the x-axis. Using the N button, we call up the menu on the right and find symmetry there. We adjust the brush width and make our drawing with one clear movement. You can use the combination control space to make the image full screen. Also, we need to paint surface that is behind a pillow. We do the same operation on the side. There is nothing complicated here. But you are most likely wondering if this same drawing is fuzzy, it does not fall clearly on the borders. This is easy to fix, there are masks for this. We will now paint the seat and I will show you how to do it. We go into editing mode, switch to the face mode, hold down Alt and select the face loop approximately somewhere in the middle. Using the combination of buttons Ctrl and plus we add faces to our selection. Now I do not cancel the selection. Turn off the editing mode. And at the top left, turn on the paint mask icon. And now we can paint without fear of stepping over the line. And since the mask covers the left side, the symmetry does not work. You will have to do it manually, but it takes very little time. Masking is a very powerful tool, so it needs separate lesson to learn it. So just do it for now. I will speed up this moment if you don't mind. Now you can go to the pillows, press / to isolate the element. If you go into editing mode, you can see that you could simply select the faces and paint them in this color, but I want to make slightly rounded edges. Turn on the symmetry mode and apply paint with light movements. Take your time, do not miss the pixels you need to paint the top, side and back. Well, I will not show you how to do the second pillow, everything is the same here. Or you can just copy it. There is one thing that needs to be completed, let's press the H button, which means hide and then paint a little bit the places behind the pillow. You can also fantasize a little and refine your drawing, draw lines a little higher. For example, around the hole, too, so that there is an outline. Next, we have two seams, one to the back, one to the seat, we will also paint them blue. To do this, copy the color with an eyedropper. For the second seam, simply select the material in the list. As you can see, I don't give names to the materials because we have very few of them here. Although I do not advise you to do this, I recommend always giving a name to materials and objects, so as not to get confused. I suggest making the outline of the hole in the headrest with black plastic. There is nothing complicated here. The only thing you need to adjust is the roughness. Great guys, we are doing well, moving at breakneck speed. Next we move on to the armrest. I will show you how to make the plastic material a little bumpy. So we select the armrest and go into shading mode, create a new material, make it black, and start adding nodes. First we have a noise texture, then we need to add a color ramp to it, connect the factor to the factor, and add a bump node. Connect the color to the height and normal to the normal. Point to the noise texture and press Ctrl T and you have added the texture coordinates and mapping. Blender calculates the information a little and now you need to adjust the strength of the normals and the scale of the noise texture and we have a wonderful plastic material. Now you can apply this material to the elements of the armrest. Well, you can make it on the pipe that is under the seat or make it metallic black, but it's easy. I also made the handles that adjust the height and rotation plastic and made the metal plate black metal. Let me show you how to paint the wheels and legs. We start by adding another material and choosing the plastic that we created but need to copy it, which means that we will not use the original. We apply this material to the faces that we repaint and in shading now we need to change the color and we take a sample of blue from the seat with a pipette. Well, do not forget to paint the wheels on both sides. There is also an element on the top of the leg that we will paint blue. But in order for this to work, you need to press the Ctrl plus combination to add the number of selected faces. Now, as we did before in modeling, you need to multiply the painted leg in a circle by copying and rotating it by 72 degrees, but the center of its geometry should be in the center of the scene coordinates. At this stage I want to show you a very cool way how to apply textures to objects. I really like this method, so I want to share it with you. Go to the Texture tab, add a new texture and find the image or logo that we want to apply. At the top in the Texture Mapping tab, with ViewPlay enabled by default, we need to change it to Stencil, and then the texture appears when we hover over the viewport. In order for everything to work, you need to change the brush color to white. Use right mouse button to move stencil. Place our texture opposite the object on which we want to apply it, and do not forget to turn off symmetry and stabilization of the brush direction, since we used these settings earlier. And now we paint with a brush in those places where we want to show the texture. This is how the texture is magically applied to the headrest of the chair. This is cool, don't you agree with me? We add logos to the pillows using the same method. I think you can do it without me, you are talented guys. You can also add a blue element to the round mount near the armrest. The secret of good models is in such little things. I suggest you admire what we got a little. I didn't like how the seatbelt looked, so I added leather material to it and painted it blue. So now it looks normal. Well, that's the model we got. I hope you like my lessons. I'm always ready to hear your reactions, both positive and negative, write in the comments. Well, as always, learn hotkeys, they will make your life easier, take you time, try different settings and pray for Ukraine. Thanks, bye.